Hey guys, Vice Bumper bringing you this Deathbringer Hero Talent review analysis. Another Hero Talent tree. This is the Frost DK slash Blood DK one. So if you play either Frost or Blood, you can pick up this hero tree in the War Within. We'll talk about this just from a Frost DK point of view. I don't play that much Blood DK, so I just, review it as if you're only playing Frost DK, talk about the impact of different talents, how they're going to affect your gameplay, that kind of thing. Also to clarify, you will be able to pick up every single node in this tree. So every talent I show you, that is a talent you will have when you're max level. The only choice comes in the choice nodes themselves, literally. Anyway, let's just jump straight into it. So we have the main ability, it's called Reaper's Mark. It's an active ability, costs you 2 runes and has a 1-minute cooldown. It says viciously slice into the soul of your enemy, dealing Shadow Frost damage and applying Reaper's Mark. Each time you deal Shadow or Frost damage, add a stack of Reaper's Mark. After 12 seconds, or reaching 40 stacks, the mark explodes, dealing damage per stack. So fundamentally, right, you use this every minute, it deals some damage, and then during the next 12 seconds, every time you deal Frost damage, it will stack up. Once it finishes, right, the more you stack it up, the more damage it deals. The idea here is probably, like if playing Obliteration, you hit this before you go into your pillar window, you do lots of Obliterate, right, stack it up, hopefully reach 40 stacks early, and then make it explode, right? That's the kind of gameplay we're looking at. We also have, at the bottom here, Reaper's Mark travels to an unmarked enemy nearby if the target dies. So you apply Reaper's Mark to target, if that dies, it can jump to the next one, right? Or explodes below 30% health when there are no enemies to travel to. This explosion cannot occur again on a target for 3 minutes. This is a bit ambiguous. I'm not 100% sure what this means. Is it a secondary explosion if the target is below 35% health? I don't know. It's a bit tricky to see exactly what to mean here. But I think you're hitting a single target, there's nothing nearby, right? You get double explosion when it expires, when that target is below 35% health. I think that's what it means. Alright. Generally, quite fun to have a new ability. Can't really tell how powerful it is, but we'll look at all the other talents and see how they interact with it. But I definitely think this is like an Obliteration talent tree overall. We're going to see why that is exactly. But yeah, that's my current vibe. Anyway, next talent, Bind in Darkness. Shadow Frost damage applies double stacks to Reaper's Mark and quadruple stacks when it is a critical strike. Alright, and for Blood Bowl deals Shadow Frost damage, and Frost Rime Empowered Howling Blast deals Shadow Frost damage. Essentially it means that, normal Frost damage, that is just 1 stack. But if the damage is actually Shadow Frost, you stack it much quicker, especially with critical hits. We'll talk about how to synergize more, but this is kind of like, your Rime procs are going to be extra valuable here, especially when they crit, because they are going to apply stacks much more quickly. Also, importantly, there's only one ability in the Frost DK toolkit currently that deals Shadow Frost damage, and it is Soul Reaper. So, there is some execute value here that when you reach below 35% health, you're going to hit Soul Reaper, and that's going to give you some extra stacks due to being Shadow Frost damage. Alright, we then have Death's Bargain. This is a choice node, and we have when you suffer a damaging effect equal to 25% of your maximum health, you instantly cast Death Pact at 50% effectiveness. May only occur every 2 minutes. When a Reaper's Mark explodes, the cooldown of this effect and Death Pact are reduced by 5 seconds. So a bit of a kind of cheat death vibe ability which uses Death Pact. Honestly, Death Pact is quite a terrible talent which we never pick up. You heal a lot, but you also get an Absorb Shield. It's always nice to have like passive survivability, but I'm not too sure exactly how strong this is. And only 5 seconds for every time Reaper's Mark explodes seems a bit small. Not sure. Anyway, the option is Rune Carved Plates. Each rune spent reduces the magic damage you take by 2%, and each rune generated reduces the physical damage you take by 2% for 5 seconds, up to 5 times. Now this is interesting. I assume that this is like a maintenance buff in a sense, but it's only 5 seconds. Hard to say, it might be like a rolling stack, But two potential ones. Every time you spend a rune, you get a 2% magic damage reduction. Stack that up, go up to 10% reduction, and then you can maintain that throughout the fight, which is really, really strong, maybe. Runes generating, that's either probably passively, but as well when you like obliteration, they will also generate runes. You spending rune power, generate runes, reduce physical damage. Hard to tell exactly what the effective uptime are, but we're already really tanky, and this is going to bring us even higher. Out of these two options, I think Rune Card Plate is by far the better one. Even though Deathbringer is a cheat like ability, I don't think it's nearly strong enough to give up that passive defensive value from Rune Card Plates. Alright, furthermore, we have another choice mode. Death's Messenger reduces the cooldowns of Lichborn and Raise Dead by 30 seconds. Yeah, neither of those abilities are very exciting to press, so I couldn't care less, essentially. Raise Dead by 30 seconds means that it's a 2-minute cooldown round, which lasts for 1 minute, so it's a 1.5 minute cooldown, lasts for 1 minute. Gonna increase our uptime, but the ghoul doesn't do anything anyway, so I don't know. We also have Expelling. When an enemy deals direct damage to your anti-magic shell, their cast speed is reduced by 10% for 6 seconds. This is quite interesting. I don't know. This feels like a bit of a tank one, to be honest, where you can leverage anti-magic shell specifically to prevent bosses from casting more quickly. As a DPS Frost DK, I'm not too sure how much you're going to actually be able to leverage this. Yeah, not a fan of this choice note, by the way. It's not the most fun, I must confess. Alright, let's bring it all the way to the bottom here, because we're going to cover an ability which is going to be important for the rest of the tree. So we have Exterminate. After Reaper's Mark explodes, your next Marin for blood or Obliterate for frost costs no runes and summons 2 scythes to strike your enemies. The first scythe strikes the target for physical damage and has a 50% chance to apply Reaper's Mark. The second scythe strikes all enemies around your target for Shadow Frost damage. This essentially gives you a probability that once you have a Reaper's Mark and it explodes, you're going to get another one. At a 50% probability. It's not that high. Gives you a free Obliterate, which is kind of whatever. But there are some other talents that will actually interact with these scythes. So you can think about it. After your mark explodes, you have a probability of actually getting a new mark, which will then tick up and explode again. Alright, let's move up to the middle of the tree at the top here. We have Blood Fever. Your Blood Plague has a chance to deal 30% increased damage to Shadow Frost. That's the blood version. And for Frost, your Frost Fever has a chance to deal 30% increased damage as Shadow Frost. Bit hard to tell here, but I think that's a separate instead of damage, so you're going to give you an additional stack. And due to Bind in Darkness, that Shadow Frost portion will actually stack 2 stacks or 4 stacks if you crits. So this is a way of kind of making your Frost Fever just stack up the stacks a bit more quickly. Alright, not too much else to say about that. We have Grim Reaper. Reaper's Mark Explosion deals up to 30% increased damage based on your target's missing health and applies Soul Reaper to targets below 35% health. This means that the explosion itself is a bit of an execution-like ability. As we said before, I do believe the ability itself will double explode at once when the target's below 35% health, but it also means that the explosion deals more damage. I assume that's what it means, so when the boss is just about to die, you will have a 30% increased damage, and then you're going to get these passive Soul Reapers as well, which is quite nice, because applying those manually is a bit of a pain as a Frost DK, so can't complain too much. Now, we have a choice node, Dark Talons. While Icy Talons is active, your runic power spending abilities deal Shadow Frost damage. Now, this is a very interesting one. Icy Talons is pretty much always active, so picking those up means that all your runic power abilities just deal Shadow Frost damage, and that's it. And this is going to be like Glacial Advance, Frost Strike, and Breath Synergosa, right? For Blood, Marrow and Heart Strike have a 20% chance to increase the maximum stacks of an active Icy Talons by 1 up to 2 times. So just to remind ourselves, Icy Talons is 3 stacks for 15% increased attack speed, I think, if I don't say that incorrectly. And this then gives you 5 stacks, which gives you 25% increased attack speed. For Frosthair, it's Consuming Killing Machine or Rhyme. That's a 20% chance. And then that, well, goes up to 5 stacks. Let's see. So I think it is... Give me 1 second here. That's actually 6%. Okay, so you got 18% up to 30% increased attack speed. So this definitely means that we'll have a, probability. Oh, eventually, our active Ice Talons will go to 5 stacks, and we're going to want to keep that throughout the entire fight. I think this choice node essentially means that, Ice Talons goes to 5 stacks, and if you drop it, it's going to take a while to stack it back up, due to the fact that you have to get this 20% chance proc. This is quite good for our killing machine generation, because the number of killing machines we generate is directly related to the attack speed we have. But that's kind of it. Yeah. We also have Wither Away. For Blood, we have that Blood Plague deals the damage in half this duration, and the second Scythe of Exterminate applies Blood Plague. For Frost, Frost Fever deals its damage in half the duration, and the second Scythe of Exterminate applies Frost Fever. So dealing damage in half duration means that it ticks twice as fast, which is good due to the fact that we're going to apply stacks to our Reaper's Mark twice as fast. Furthermore, as we looked earlier, the Frost Fever has a probability to deal Shadow Frost damage, so that's going to be like a major source of stacks. So if you we obviously pick up with Blood Fever, and we pick up this Wither Away, it means that we're going to, get lots of Shadow Frost procs, and we're going to get them quickly. But we do need to make sure we keep it up. Quite nice to have like the second Scythe apply Frost Fever, but generally as a Frost Seeker, we get sufficient Rhyme procs for this not be an issue. So I think it's a bit hard. Do you want the extra attack speed, or you want these extra procs coming from the Frost Fever? Obviously, it's going to deal more DPS as well, so hard to say. Both these choices are good, I think, and they benefit us in different ways. Alright, we've got 3 more talents. We have Wave of Souls. Reaper's Mark unleashes a dark wave towards your target and back, dealing Shadow Frost damage both ways to all enemies caught in its path. This essentially means press Reaper's Mark, you get some free stacks immediately, and do Shadow Frost damage, so you're going to get more stacks. It's probably going to be at least 4 stacks, and if you're lucky, you're going to get 8. We also have Wave of Souls. Critical strikes cause enemies to take 5% increased Shadow Frost damage for 15 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. And the way back is always a critical strike. Oh, spoke too quickly. So way back's crit strike, that give you 4 stacks of Reaper's Mark immediately, and you're going to get 2 or 4 on the first one. So between 6 and 8 extra stacks just from this ability alone. That's pretty cool. Not much else to say about it. Alright, we have Shuddering Soul. Reaper's Mark explosion causes a piece of this target's soul to tear out and spiral outwards, dealing 10% explosions damage to enemies it passes through. Enemies hit by this effect deals 5% reduced physical damage to you for 10 seconds. This adds a bit of an AoE component to this main ability. There's not that much of it, which is like... It does say it explodes, but I assume the explosion is only on your main target. But this means that, some percentage of that is actually going to go to all targets nearby, which is quite nice. So you don't have like a hero talent tree, which is only a single target focus in a sense. Now, probably the most powerful choice node here. We have Swift End. Reaper's Mark cost is reduced by 1 rune, and his cooldown is reduced by 50%. This essentially doubles the number of Reaper's Mark you can actually put out. Instead of a 1 minute cooldown, it's a 30 seconds one. This might be a good thing for Obliteration, depending on what we're looking at in the next expansion. Currently, Obliteration cooldown is like 40 seconds. So getting Reaper's Mark down to 30 means you could then use a Reaper's Mark for every single Obliteration window. Use that before you press Pillar, and then you go into it, and then it's going to explode. You remember, it was 12 seconds, so it's going to explode right towards the end. You had a big strength buff, good synergy. That's what I'm thinking. But we also have Painful Death, where Reaper's Mark now explodes at 50 stacks, and the first Scythe of Exterminate has a 100% increased chance to apply Reaper's Mark. So, goes from 40 stacks to 50 stacks, so the explosion itself grows by 25%, right? So more damage there. And then, if you remember, Exterminate, That was after Reaper's Mark finish. You press Obliterate, you have a chance to get a new one. That's 15%. This gives a 30% chance to do that one. I think Swift End is by far the better one here, but I'm not too sure. Obviously, you need to spend an extra GCD pressing the ability, but just getting like twice as many seems very valuable to me. Hard to say. Anyway, that's all the talents. Quite a lot to take in. So what's the general vibe? Well, I think essentially we're going to get another cooldown button. We press that, and we have lots of different spells and whatnot that helps you stack up this Reaper's Mark, and then it's going to explode you lots of damage. It's going to have really good synergy with Obliteration, but kind of breath as well. You essentially want to press this and then press Pillar so that when it explodes, you get the benefit of the strength of Pillar on the explosion, right? Hard to say. It doesn't like empower your other abilities in a sense. There's like some Frost Fever damage increase. Gives you some more attack speed. I think overall this is not very exciting to me. I'm a much bigger fan of Rider Apocalypse, but I'm not too sure what you guys think. There's also like that choice now where you had like Lichborn and Raised Dead cooldown reduction, which felt really boring. I don't know. I'm so hyped about Rider Apocalypse that this just feels a bit lackluster to me. Anyway, that's what I have for you guys today. Leave a comment down below. What do you guys think about this talent tree? You're happy? You're excited? What do you think? Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.